Hello, I'm Blaine Morris. Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk about the 2009 Fairfax Market Report. I'm going to talk about the numbers for 2009, sales statistics. We're also going to talk about how they compare in a historical sense to a few years that we just went through. I'm going to talk about 5 or 6 conditions that affected the Fairfax market in 2009. And finally, we're going to talk about how at least one person, myself, sees the future, the immediate future of Fairfax real estate shaping up in 2010. So, first of all, as it relates to the numbers, I'm going to talk about, in a broad sense, the Fairfax real estate market, which is the 94930 area code. This includes some unincorporated areas that are commonly included in Fairfax statistics, most notably the Oak Manor area, where our elementary school is. So first of all, in 2009 in Fairfax we had 65 single-family homes sell and 2 townhomes. Those 65 single-family homes represent a 14% increase in the number of homes that sold versus 2008, which I think is good news for all of us, active market. We really had a slow start to the year. In January of 2009, we only had one house sell in Fairfax. That was actually a house that I sold, but that house went into escrow back in November of 2008. That was a short sale that took a while to get closed, but coming out of the financial crisis, the end of 2008, all the communities in Marin got off to a slow start, and Fairfax was no exception. But the market did catch up, and we enjoyed brisk sales for the remainder of the year once things got rolling in the early spring. So in 2009, the average price of a home in Fairfax was $677,484. That was down 12.1% from the same from the 2008 numbers, and down about 22% from the peak of the market in 2005. However, a more useful number that we all use in the real estate market is the median price, because that represents the middle home that sold in the market. The median price in Fairfax in 2009 for single-family homes was $660,000, down 7.7% from the previous year in 2008, and down 17% from the peak of the market in 2005. So what happened in the market in Fairfax in 2009? Without getting into a lot of details, you may have heard that the loan market, both in Marin and California nationwide, very, very tight in 2009. Loans were hard to come by. Loans for homes priced above about $650,000 in the first 3 or 4 months of 2009 were very, very tight. Above that price point, you needed 20% down. The interest rates were substantially higher than the prices for interest rates below that. In April, as part of the stimulus plan, the loan limits were increased. The new ceiling for more affordable loans, so shall we say, in Marin increased to about $750,000. And so below that, the market for the remainder of the year was quite brisk. Above that, it was, and particularly in Fairfax, the market was quite slow in 2009. With this difficult loan market, above the $650,000 to $750,000 price point, there were a disproportionate number of smaller, first-time buyer type homes that sold. That affected the median price. Lots of homes on the low end sold, much fewer number of homes on the higher end sold, and that had an effect on the median price as well. So based upon what I just went through, also, last year, 2009, very slow year for high-end homes in Fairfax. And in fact, in Fairfax in 2009, only 4 homes over the $1 million price point closed escrow. Compare that with 12 homes back in the go-go days of 2005, and it was difficult to sell your more expensive home in Fairfax, to say the least. Even homes in the $800,000 to $900,000 market, as a function of that difficult loan market, were difficult to sell. So having said that, below $650,000, the market was very good. And under about $575,000, the market was actually quite hot. First-time buyers drove the market in 2009 in Fairfax, with the first-time buyer tax credit, which was part of the stimulus plan, really having a big effect on that as we kind of went through the year, and certainly helped the year finish strong. Another segmentation of the market in Fairfax was the difference in time to sell and difficulty in selling on homes that were in the flats of Fairfax versus homes that were up in the hills. With this large number of first-time buyers driving the market in Fairfax in 2009, homes in the flats that were kid-friendly, family-friendly, easy access to town, those homes sold still pretty well. The hillside homes, with a much smaller population of people that were the sellers were chasing after to try and buy the homes, the hillside homes had a much more difficult time, and as a result of that, required some substantial discounting in 2009 to sell your homes. So to talk about flat areas, downtown, the flat areas of Deer Park, Cascades, Bothene, Canyon, Oak Manor, those neighborhoods all did very well last year. The hillside areas, particularly Manor Hill, the hillside areas of Cascade Canyon, Deer Park, etc. Those homes were just, it was difficult to sell your hillside home in Fairfax in 2009, make no mistake. Finally, distressed properties played a role in Fairfax last year, but to a much lesser extent than elsewhere in the North Bay and elsewhere in California. So in Fairfax last year, of the 65 homes that sold, 10 of them could be categorized as distressed. 3 of those were bank-owned properties, and 7 of those were homes that were sold through a short sale process, which is where the bank agrees to take less than is owed on the property to close the escrow. So that's a lot less than you've seen elsewhere in California, and I think largely people in Fairfax continued to pay their mortgages, and that's good news for all of us who live in Fairfax. So looking forward, how do things look? I think history is going to show that the mid-spring, March, April timeframe of 2009 will be the low water mark for values and sales activity in the Fairfax market. After that, things really did start to stabilize, and I think the under 650,000 market right now is still very strong. And I think in 2010 we're going to see some stabilization of the values in the 800, 900K range. And there's actually, for those of you out there that have homes like that, there is an absolute shortage of inventory. And so if you're thinking about selling, if you're thinking about moving up, those next step up from the first-time buyer homes in Fairfax, not very many of them for sale, haven't been very many of them for sale for a while, and I think there is going to be an opportunity for you in 2010 to sell your home and maybe get that bigger home that you're looking for, or do the downsize to a smaller home if the kids are out and you don't need all the space. Above that price point, above $1 million, I'm sorry to say I think that we're still going to have a tough time in 2010 in Fairfax, and it's probably going to take until 2011 for that market to start seeing any kind of substantial recovery. If you read the Marin Independent Journal, last Sunday there was an article about the home values in Marin for the past decade and how they have fared. Marin County, over that, as difficult as things were there at the end, over the past 10 years, January 1, 2000 to December 31st, 2009, the average price home in Marin appreciated 25.2%. Now, believe it or not, number one, leading the pack that decade, Fairfax, with an average appreciation of 47.6%. So who would have thought that Fairfax was the investment leader in Marin, but it absolutely happened, and it's good news for all of us. Contrast that with the stock market. Over the same period of time I just described, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 8.7%. So still, as difficult as things were at the end, Fairfax Real Estate, very solid investment. Take heart. Newly minted best investment in Marin, at least according to the IJ. If you're thinking about buying in Fairfax, I think that bodes well for the decision you've made. If you own in Fairfax, I think that's good news for the value of your home. If you want to learn more about the various neighborhoods in Fairfax and how they fared in 2009 and in a few years past, with lots of statistics on homes that sold, prices, all that sort of stuff, please visit my website, yourmarinhome.com/Fairfax, and there's tons of data on our town. Thanks for taking the time to listen. I wish all of you a safe, healthy, and prosperous 2010. Thanks a lot.